Hey YouTube, what you know good? He is the Reverend, this is Project KNM, and we're back with some more of that fresh art goodness. So, what are we working on today? Well, we're working on number 2 out of the 31 illustrations I did back in October of 2020, or, the OC-tober challenge. This illustration is not necessarily my OC, it's a combination of OC. It's technically it's basically a creation of two folks. Me and a friend of mine in high school. And we were both working on this. And it was just inspired by some of the random stuff that we would talk about online or on the phone. It's actually inspired by that, as well as a character idea I had initially created for our drama class. This character's name is Clarence, and he's the cousin to the character that I came up with for drama class, whose name was Carl. Carl was originally just a black mage from the Greek Hades, or maybe just a standard, like a generic netherworld kind of location. And what we eventually would do is come up with a more modern version of that mage, or rather, Carl was like a mage idea who would constantly update himself with the times, kind of like the Highlander. With each, as the years go by, he would just continuously update himself, and he eventually became like the host of his own like news show and talk show. But while he's on the Earth, he doesn't have a lot of money and has to live in like a dorm. That's where his cousin comes in, a white mage named Clarence. Whereas Carl was kind of rude and kind of lewd and just, willing to, he was kind of a party animal and kind of speaks his mind even if it's really not a good time to do it. Clarence is obviously the straight up opposite. He's a kind, gentle soul. If Carl was like Will's character of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Clarence is like Carlton. That's the best way I can put it. Except even more in extremes. Carl is even worse than Will by head and shoulders, and Clarence will make Carlton look like a thug in comparison. What makes it so hilarious is that Carl and Clarence are also part of an ongoing like fanfic, roleplay, like pseudo wrestling league that he and I came up with. It's not even, I wouldn't say fanfic, but unless of course we start adding actual like IP characters in there. Basically what happened is that he and I are both wrestling fans. We would come up with CAWs, and I had this idea of like not really a wrestling league, but a fighting league. And we ended up creating both Carl and Clarence in there. Clarence doesn't even fight. Almost all of his moves are designed to, do like roll-up pins. Basically, the idea was to try to knock you out gently by roll-ups and schoolboys. That's how much of a pacifist this guy is. But what makes it even funnier is that this guy is just like, Clarence is just one of those almost like experimental ideas. Like, how annoying can we make a nice guy? How absolutely ridiculous can we go? We would just come up with these stupid ideas of what would make him just such an annoying guy, but at the same time, you can't really call him an a-hole. You can't really call him a jerk. he's just one of those nice guys that you kind of wish would go away because of just his personality. Somehow he's a nice guy. You can't think of anything bad about him, but he still rubs you the wrong way. It's kind of like that. What we're gonna draw, I don't exactly know what inspired my friend to actually come up with Clarence, other than just to be, a polar opposite. But I ended up running with it and adding my own little touch on it. This is mostly his character, and I think he originally came up with the design, but I think I added a little bit here and there. Like, the one thing I do know that I came up with was that he was that my chair? Sorry. The one thing that I know that I came up with was the idea that he's like really good in the kitchen, and that he makes some really good lemon squares. I don't even know why lemon squares. I don't know what inspired that. I think that's a reference to something that I saw in the past, but I can't remember it, and that pisses me off. But we also have this thing where he's also a fan of mango juice. Excuse me for just a second, make sure a tree doesn't fall. The reason why that's funny is because it's just another, that one is a reference, I know. That one's a reference to that before the Animaniacs, there was Tiny Toon Adventures, and there's this one episode where I think Plucky was trying to make a movie, and one scene in that movie requires his character to have a glass of mango juice, and he goes, mango juice. And then part of the in that scene, like a palm tree has to come down and fall right on top of him, like goosh. But while they were filming it, they were using his quote-unquote friend, because I don't know why they would hang out, because Plucky was such an a-hole. Hampton. Hampton was the stunt double. He dresses up as Plucky, puts a duck head on himself and all that, and he kept messing up the line. So he was like, mango fruit. Boom! Here comes the palm tree. Gotta tell you, it's not fruit, it's juice. Let's try it again. Mango drink. Boom! It's just like the idea that every time you bring up the juice, like for some reason a palm tree, like at the end of that episode, when it was just, Plucky at the theater looking at the movie itself, and he actually had himself some mango juice, he's about to take a sip, boom! Palm tree in the theater, right there. We took that and we ran with it, and every time someone brings up mango juice, which is usually Clarence, palm tree. Even if it's indoors, it'll bust through the window, bust through the roof if necessary, if only to make sure someone gets hit by it. Oh man. And when he's not being an idiot in a comic relief in that dormitory, and he's in our fight league, Clarence is less of a fighter, and he's more like the voice of reason and the leader of his own fighting group, his own faction. He's just a mouthpiece for the most part, and moral support. But there's gonna come a time where he has no choice but to fight. I totally need to draw like Clarence being a man. He's got to man up. He's got to show his inner archangel. And that's actually a point. One thing about Clarence is that he used to be like a guardian angel, like the Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life. The difference is this Clarence failed in his mission, and the client he had that he was supposed to protect, let's just say Clarence basically just made the situation worse. Like things, this person was not doing too well. They were going down a path of darkness, and Clarence was trying to show them that they, a path, that this is not the right path. This is just going to lead to ruin. But by showing them that this client what the world would look like if they were never born, in classic parody fashion, it backfired, and it showed that the client was absolutely right. The world really would have been better off if they weren't born. But instead of taking their own life, this person decided, why in the world does the world get to be better off? Why do I have to suffer and the whole world will succeed without me? Why do I care? And why should I care? Why should I be the person who just doesn't get a happy ending no matter what? And eventually this person really goes down a path of darkness. Instead of a life of life, instead of taking their own life, they decide, you know what? Let's destroy the world. And Clarence was denied his wings. And he essentially was demoted. Hence him living in the dorm with his evil cousin. And that's why and that's also his backstory for what motivates him to lead his faction in our fight league. The idea to save the world from one of the people that he has, from his old client who's also in that league. The idea is if you can stop them from destroying the world, maybe he'll earn his wings, get his wings back. But yeah, that's a basic idea for Clarence. And I think with that, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this up. If you guys want to know more about Clarence, or maybe that fight league I was telling you about, by all means, let me know in the comments. If you guys have any weird ideas and OCs that you want to talk about, drop them in the comments. I'd like to know what you guys come up with. You never know what the next big idea is. So you guys might have a really good idea, and if you want my opinion on whether or not you should run with it, say something. As always, you guys take it easy. Memento mori, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Kill the feed.